मधुर मनोहर अतीव सुंदर ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी राजधानी।
Well, my dear students, now we are going to start the 35th lecture in the series of mechanics of metal forming. As that the finite element method has become very popular, especially for metal forming processes, all kind of processes, it has become very important. So, in the previous lectures we discussed the basic concept of finite element method, and we took certain other issues which are important as far as the commercial softwares are concerned, as far as the results of the FEM is concerned, and as far as the computational cost is concerned. We have already discussed these issues. Now, whatever concept of finite element method we discuss, let us have certain simple examples. We would start simple examples, and then we would jump over to the other examples of tougher nature, and subsequently the 3D examples now onward from this lecture. So, let us take the spring element, like this is the simplest example where there is a one element spring. So, as you know, the anything which is very simple are and that is very important as well. So, let us look at this spring element. This is one spring. So, if you see the figure here, the K is the spring constant, that we call it as the stiffness of the spring, and you will see that the I and J are the two. If this is taken as one element, spring element, then I and J's are the two nodes, right? And there are at the I and jth node there are forces, that is Fi and Fj, it has been, and when the I displacement takes place because of the force Fi, and when the J node displacement take place because of the force Fj, or combination of these Fi Fj. So, the ith node will have the displacement as Ui and Uj for the jth node, and we take the direction x from I to j as positive. So, let us take, so that is the two node is. So, this is the simplest example of a spring element. So, if you look at this, the two nodes I and j you have, then the nodal displacement as Ui Uj, and let us take it either in inch, it may be in meter, or it may be in any unit, it may be in mm whatsoever, it does not matter. So, the nodal forces are Fi and Fj, and it could be in pound, in Newton, or in kg whatsoever, it does not matter. The spring constant, which is the stiffness, is taken as K, it may be in Newton meter, Newton per mm, and R it may be pound per inch, or anything, it does not matter. So, if you recall the spring force displacement relation, everybody knows this. So, this spring force relationship, which is the force capital F is equal to K multiplied by delta, K delta, where the delta is defined as uj minus ui, the change in displacement. So if one can plot the force versus displacement, so there may be two situations. That means the force is defined as k as the stiffness and k is the displacement. So that means the stiffness of the element can be found out as capital F by delta, where, and this k is always more than 0, right. So that this k is the force needed to produce a unit stretch, therefore that is the meaning of spring constant k as the stiffness. So if you plot this figure shows the variation of between f and displacement of the spring could be a linear one and it could be non-linear one. So the k defines the slope of the linear part of the curve. So looking into this, one can consider the linear problem. Let us have for the example. So consider the equilibrium of the forces for the spring that has been shown, and therefore at node I we can write that Fi is equal to minus F, and that is equal to minus K Uj minus Ui, and that is nothing but Kui minus Kuj. That is the simple equilibrium of forces. And similarly you can write it for the node J, that is Fj is equal to capital F, and that is equal to K Uj minus Ui, and that is nothing but minus Kui plus Kuj. That is the simple way. So these two equations, that is Fi and Fj, that we have considered using the equilibrium of forces for the spring at node I and j, it can be written in the matrix form like here. So this matrix form, that is the stiffness matrix, the elements are k minus k minus k k, and then the displacement matrix, that the elements are ui and uj, and the force matrix, that is the elements are fi and fj, are simply in the very simple format. It can be written as Ku is equal to F, small f, where K is the element or stiffness matrix, U is element nodal displacement vector, and F is your element nodal, that is the force vector, right. Please note that K is a symmetric one. This matrix, which is called as the stiffness matrix, is a symmetric one. Is K singular or non-singular? Suppose if one wants to know whether it is a singular or non-singular, that is, can we solve the equation? If not, why? So these are the some of the questions that one has to see. Now let us see this spring system where the two springs are connected in series. So now these two springs has got different stiffnesses as K1 and K2, and now because the two springs are connected in series, so spring 1 is spring 2, and therefore there are 3 nodes 1, 2 and 3. So correspondingly we can say it as IJK, and the stiffness are K1 and K2, rest of the things are similar there. So x direction is from this left side to right side, and then the stiffness can be U1 F1, U2 F2 and U3 F3. So that's the for the two nodal. So now let us apply the previous concept of equilibrium equation and then solving. So let us take it for element 1. So here you will see the element 1 where you have the stiffness K1 and the element 2 has the stiffness K2. So, if you apply it for the same concept previously we did, so what we can write down, that is the stiffness matrix consisting of K1 minus K1 minus K1 K1, then the U vector, that is the displacement vector, and the force vector. So, that because it is between the node 1 and 2, so the displacement vector is u1 and u2, and the force concerned corresponding to the node 1 and node 2 is F1 and F2 of element 1. Similarly, for the element 2 one can write down this equation. So, where the stiffness matrix is K2 minus K2 minus K2 K2, and the vectors, the displacement vectors are u2 u3 and force vector are F1 and F2 for the second spring, where if you recall there, Fi star, if I denote, is the internal force. If I say Fi star is internal force which is acting on local node I of the element M, right, if there are so many elements. So, element M where the I is 1, 2 like that. So, likewise, if now if for these two set of spring, if it is assembled, so as the process of FEM, if you recall back, so assemble the stiffness matrix for the whole system, that is the two spring system. So, again consider the equilibrium of forces at node 1. So, that capital F1 would be F1 of first element, and that, and similarly at node 2 you would have the F2 which is equal to F2 of 1 plus F1 of 2, and at node 3 F3 would be equal to F2, the force F2 of element 2. That means now we can write down the set of equations, that is F1 is equal to K1 U1 minus K1 U2, then F2 is equal to minus K1 U1 plus K1 plus K2 multiplied by U2 minus K2 U3, and then F3 is minus K2 U2 plus K2 U3, that is correct. So, these three equations can be now represented in the matrix form, and that has been what has been shown here. So, the elements of the matrix, that is the stiffness matrix for this assembly, would be of 3 by 3, because now you have 3 nodes. So, these elements has been shown, that is, and for the element 1 and for the element 2, the coefficient matrix, that is the stiffness matrix, has been enclosed within a blue line to show you that these are the elements and rest of the elements are 0. You will see the K1 and K2, the middle one along the diagonal, it is a addition. So, that is the assembly. So, where there is a overlapping, that they will get the stiffness as the addition, and then the displacement vector is u1, u2 and u3, and the force vector is f1, f2 and f3, or simply this matrix can be represented it as capital K, capital U is equal to capital F. So, capital K is the stiffness matrix, that is the structure of the matrix for this set of the spring system. An alternative way of assembling the whole stiffness matrix can also be done, where the enlarging the stiffness matrix for the element 1 and 2 one can write down in this fashion. So, one can write down this fashion and then you can assemble, you get the same thing that we did it previously. So, this is the same equation if you do it like this and using the force equilibrium concept. Now what is the second step, next step? So next step is find out the boundary condition and load condition in this problem. So in the problem it was given that u1 is 0 and f2 and f3 are equal to p, load is p. So if in the previous equation that we have after assembly we get, now if we substitute this boundary and load condition, so one can get this equation. So this equation where we have now u1 is 0 and so you see in the u matrix, that is the displacement matrix, u1 is 0 and f2 and f3 is made as p. So there is, so we have the reduced matrix as k1 plus k2 first element, second element is minus k2, then the third element is minus k2 and fourth element is k2, and the vector, the displacement vector have u2 and u3 and that is equal to force vector as pp, and therefore f1 is equal to minus k1 f2. That is what has been already there. So what are the unknowns if you look at this figure? So unknowns are u vectors, that is the displacement, that is the field variables are u. So u2 and u3 are the unknown variables, and reaction force, that is F1, if it is desired, that is also unknown. So if you solve the equation, one can obtain the displacement as here, that is u2 and u3 as 2p by k and u3 is 2p by k1 plus p by k2, and the reaction therefore is calculated as reacting force F1 is minus 2p. So that's the way the procedure of finite element has been utilized for very simple problem. One can check the results, so one can now see the deformed shape of the structure of the spring, especially here. You can see the balance of the external forces. You can also see the order of the magnitude of the numbers accordingly. As far as the spring elements are concerned, one has to see the suitable, which is suitability for the stiffness analysis. It is not very suitable for stress analysis of the spring itself, and the spring element can have a spring element with stiffness in the lateral direction as well. So spring element for the torsion, etc. So these can be used for different situations. Let us take this particular example number 1, which is a numerical example. Whatever concept for the spring element we derive, let us take this is a practical example where now you have 3 element having the your stiffness matrix as k1, k2 and k3, and the 3 elements are connected in series, and these the whole elements are the end nodes, that is the node 1 and 4 is rigid, it is rigidly blocked in between. So the values are given here, you can see, that is for this spring system the k1 is 100 Newton per mm, k2 is 200 Newton per mm and k3 is 100 Newton per mm, and the P, capital P, which is 500 Newton, and u1 and u4 are 0. So that is because it is fixed end. The whole spring system is fixed between the nodes 1 and 4, which is fixed. So displacement u1 and u4 is 0 obviously. So what are these 4 items are to be calculated? Number A, the global stiffness matrix, then the displacement of node 2 and 3, the reaction force at node 1 and 4, and the force in the spring 2. So these are to be calculated. So we can proceed in the similar fashion to determine the element stiffness matrix. So K1, if we calculate the stiffness matrix K1, so that would be simply what it is already given, that the element would be 100 minus 100 minus 100 100 Newton per mm. Similarly, K2 is 200 minus 200 minus 200 200 Newton per mm, and K3 is simply 100 minus 100 minus 100 100 Newton per mm. So these K matrix we have got. Now you can assemble this K matrix. So if you assemble this K matrix and if you apply the superposition concept, so one can obtain the global stiffness matrix of the. So these K1, K2, K3s are called as the local stiffness matrix. Once you assemble it, so that becomes capital K, that is called as global stiffness matrix. So if you assemble it, it has been shown here. So the displacement is u1, u2, u3 and u4, and so it's a 4 by 4 matrix, that is the global stiffness matrix, and you can see it is colored in blue for the corresponding K1, K2 and local matrices, and how the elements are getting added, that's the assembly. The same thing when you add it together, so the element becomes this. So capital K, the global matrix, is shown here as 100 minus 100 0 0 minus 100 300 minus 200 0 0 minus 200 300 minus 100 0 0 minus 100 and 100. So that's how the global stiffness matrix, and you can see this is symmetric and banded as well. You see it is symmetric corresponding to the diagonal, and it is therefore banded. So banded means, see the outer elements are symmetric and it is all 0, that's the band. You can calculate the band of this matrix. So the equilibrium, that is the finite element equation for the whole system, this particular example system, can be written now. That means the capital K matrix multiplied by the displacement vector u is equal to force vector capital F, and if you substitute the boundary condition, if you apply the boundary condition, that's the second part of the answer. So boundary condition, it is already given that u1 and u4 are 0. So in equation 4 that we have got after assembly, deleting the first and the fourth row and the column, one can get this one because it is 0. So you get the equation 5 here, that is 300 minus 200 minus 200 300 u2 u3 and 0 p, that's the equation 5. Now if you solve the equation 5, one can get very easily u2 and u3 as equal to 2 and 3 mm. So that's the answer B. As far as answer C is concerned, from the first and the fourth equation, if you look at in equation 4, one can get the reaction force, that is F1 is equal to minus 100 u2 and that is equal to minus 200 Newton, and F4 is equal to minus 100 u3 and that is equal to minus 300 capital N Newton, that's right. So F1 and F4 are determined, that was the unknown. Though as far as the fourth answer is concerned, so you look at the finite element equation for a spring element 2. Let us take it for the element 2. So that would be that you have 200 minus 200 minus 200 200 and ui uj, which is equal to fi fj. So I is in 2 and j is 3 here. So if you apply for the second element, right, so one can calculate the spring force, that is capital F, and that is nothing but fj, and that is equal to minus fi, and you can calculate as this which has been shown, that is calculated as 200 Newton. So you can check the result, right. So this is what the numerically shown, the working of FEM. Let us take another slightly complicated, this example number 2, where again it is the spring case itself, but complicated situation. Previous one was in series, but here there is a series as well as parallel combination of the springs element. So you look at this figure, example 2, where the element 1, 2, 3 and 4 elements are there, but element 2 and 3 are connected in series, and this set of the element 2 and 3 in series is further connected in parallel with element 4, spring element 4, and this whole system is further connected in series with element number 1. So you can see here that's the stiffnesses K1, K2, K3 and K4, and the nodes are also marked there. You can see the node 4, the node 2, node 1, node 3 and node 5. You can look. So this is a 5 nodal example. So for this particular spring system with the arbitrarily numbered nodes and elements, let us find out the global stiffness matrix. Suppose one has to find out the global stiffness matrix. So how to get it? So let us, for this situation, one has to construct first a connectivity table. Connectivity table shows that how these elements are connected end to end or head to head, like that. So this table shows the element connectivity table. So like you have 4 elements, so the elements 1, 2 and 3 are there. Then the node I and node j for the each element, you find it out. So for the element 1, node I is 4 and node j is 2. For 2, node I is 2 and 3. For element 3, the node I is 3 and node j is 5, and for element 4, node I is 2 and node j is 1. So which specifies the global node numbering corresponding to the local node number for each element, and this is what is going to help you in assembly the stiffness matrix. So once you have rightly constructed this connectivity table, now your job is over. Okay, so that is how one can then write the element stiffness matrix is shown here, that is K1, K2, K3 and K4, and on the top it is written there the corresponding displacement, and you can see from the element for element 1 U4 and U2. See, if you look at the table, this is I is to 4, node j is 2. So that's the how ij, and it is all 4 has been marked. So finally these 4 stiffness matrix You can superimpose method and you can assemble, that is called as the assembly, and one can find the global stiffness matrix as shown here. You note the diagonal term which is getting added, you can see. So again you can see here this assembly, this global matrix is again symmetric, banded, but is it singular? Can you check? Is it? So it is symmetric, banded, but it is singular, you can see. So that's this example showing the use of finite element method, right? Let us take another type of problem where the bar and beam elements are very popular. So bar and beam elements where the linear or static analysis we do usually. So most structural analysis problem can be treated as a linear static problem, and based on the following assumptions, 3 assumptions, one can proceed. So the assumption 1 is that we have to consider the small deformation, that is loading pattern is not changed due to the deformed shape. Secondly, the elastic material, that means there is no plasticity or failure occur. So it is purely within elastic limit and the elastic materials are taken therefore. And there are only static loads. The load is applied to the structure in a very slow and steady manner. So that we can consider it as a static load. So the linear analysis can provide most of the information about the behavior of a structure, and can be a good approximation for many analysis. It is also the basis of nonlinear analysis in most of the cases, right? So with this, let us take with this assumption, 3 assumption, and let us take the bar element. This figure shows a uniform prismatic bar of length capital L, right? So you will see that this length capital L bar, which is of uniform, is subjected to 2 node, one element it is taken. So node I and node j, and the corresponding displacements are ui and uj, and the forces at element is fi and fj. Okay. So if we take capital A as the cross sectional area, capital E as the elastic module, and u, which is the variation, the displacement, if it is in direction of x, with that it starts, which is x starts from node I, so x is 0 at I, and x become equal to L at the node j. So we can show the u variation as ux, and therefore the strain can be written as epsilon x, and stress similarly can be written as sigma x, right? So now you recall, if this is a bar element, so the strain displacement relation, if you recall back, we discussed long before while the stress strain relationship. So the strain is defined as du by dx, that is equation 1, and the stress strain relation, that is your Young's modulus E. So stress is equal to E multiplied by epsilon, that is the strain. So now if we use for calculating the stiffness matrix here also, just like in the spring, let us do it for the bar element here. So we would use direct method. As I told you, there are 3 methods. So let us use direct method. assuming that the displacement u is varying linearly along the axis of the bar from I to j, as I told you. So, the usual equation, what is ux, variation of ux would be 1 minus x by capital L ui plus x by capital L uj, where the strain, that is the epsilon, is uj minus ui by capital L, that is the delta by capital L, and delta represents the elongation. This is shown in equation 4 here, right. So, stress is simply defined as capital E by epsilon, and that is nothing but E delta by capital L. We also have stress, which is written as force by capital A, that is the cross sectional area. So, force capital F if it is the force in the bar. So, if you use equation number 5 and equation number 6, and this leads to force capital F in the bar is equal to capital E capital A by capital L delta, and that is simply K delta, where the K is what? That is why what's the stiffness of the bar, which is defined as capital E A by capital L. Okay. So, the bar is acting like a spring in this case, and we conclude that the element stiffness matrix is therefore this one, K. That means K minus K minus K, because now the symmetry, it is now if you recall the stiffness matrix in case of a spring element, and here also we got the K. So, now you use the stiffness matrix because it is resembling like that one, and then if the K is nothing but EA by capital L, so you substitute the value. So, the capital small k stiffness matrix can then be written, and this has been shown in equation 8 here, that is capital E A by capital L, and it is multiplied by the element 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, right. This is what has been shown, the stiffness of the bar element. This can be verified by considering the equilibrium of the forces at the two nodes as well. So, how one can do? So, the element equilibrium equation would be what? That means E capital A L, and the 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, that is the matrix, and then the displacement vector ui uj, and that should be equal to force vector, that is fi fj. This is shown here in 9. So, the degree of freedom, what is now degree of freedom? Let us see what do we mean by degree of freedom. So, the number of components of the displacement vector at a node, we call it as a degree of freedom. If it is 1D element, there is 1 degree of freedom. If it is 2D element, it is 2 degree of freedom. If it is 3D element, then a node has got a 3 degree of freedom, right. So, that is the meaning of for 1D bar, like this case, it is 1 degree of freedom at each node. Physically, meaning of the coefficient in K, which is shown in equation 8, that the jth column of K, where J is 1 here or 2, represents the forces applied to the bar to maintain a deformed shape with unit displacement at node J and 0 displacement at the other node. So, that is the physical meaning of the stiffness matrix and the elements of the matrix in K, right. So, stiffness matrix as a formal approach, if we look at, so we derive the same stiffness matrix for the bar using a formal approach. which can be applied to many other more complicated situations. So define two linear shape functions like here, which is shown here in equation 10, that is ni zeta is equal to 1 minus zeta, and let us take the nj zeta which is equal to zeta. So these are the two linear shape functions we are. So ni and nj's are the shape function, where zeta is taken as x by capital N, and the zeta the value lies between 0 and 1. So from equation 3, if you recall, one can write the displacement as ux, which is equal to u zeta, and that is equal to ni zeta ui plus nj zeta uj. So the displacement in terms of the shape function, as I told you very early in the concept of the metal form finite element method. So the displacement is represented in terms of the shape function. So then it can be written as u, the displacement vector, and it is equal to ni nj vector, that is the shape factor vector, multiplied by your displacement vector, and that is simply capital N u vector. So the strain can be given by equation 1 and 2 format, that is the epsilon is du by dx. So that's the simple d by dx multiplied by capital N. Capital N is your the matrix ni nj, right? That's the vector multiplied by u, and that is the strain epsilon becomes capital B u. So capital B is the element which is called as the strain displacement matrix. Capital B is called as strain displacement matrix, which is nothing but equal to d by dx ni zeta and nj zeta, and it is further equal to d by d zeta ni zeta nj zeta dot d zeta by dx. That is, this element strain displacement matrix capital B becomes minus 1 by L, 1 by L, that is shown in equation 14. So stress can be written very easily now, and that is nothing but the sigma is equal to capital E epsilon, and that is nothing but capital E capital B u. That is what has been shown in equation 15. So consider the strain energy stored in the bar. Let us calculate. So what is the strain energy stored in the bar? If anybody can answer. So strain energy stored in a bar is capital U, say. So that is equal to half of the integral over the element, and sigma T epsilon dV, that is the over small volume, and that is again equal to half of the integral over the domain ut bt capital E b u multiplied by dV. So that's the matrix form, and that is nothing but half of ut is out, which is shown here in equation 16, and then it is within the bracket, it is the integral over the domain, that is bt e b dV, and outside it is u. So this equation 13 and 15 we have used to derive the 16th one, right? So now one can find out the work done by the two nodes, nodal forces therefore. So capital over W would be half of Fi ui plus half of Fj uj, and that is nothing but half of ut. T is your transpose, right, F, for conservative system we state therefore that is capital U is equal to the total work done capital W, which gives half of ut under bracket integral bte b dv multiplied by u, and that is the conservative side half of utf. So one can conclude that integral over the domain bt eb multiplied by dv and outside u is equal to f, or simply one can write down this is ku is equal to f, which is shown here in equation 19, where k is your stiffness matrix, which is the integral over the domain bt eb over dv. So this is what is called as the element stiffness matrix, right? This is for bar element. So this equation number 20 is a general result which can be used for the construction of the other type of element as well. This expression can also be derived using other more rigorous approach as well, such as the principle of minimum potential energy, or the Galerkin methods can also be used to derive this equation. Okay. So now we evaluate equation 20 for the bar element by using equation 14 previously. So the k becomes your integral over from 0 to L, because the length of the bar is L, so the integral over 0 to L, and b becomes minus 1 by L, capital E, then b transpose, that is minus 1 by L, that is the, here it is a column vector and here is the row vector capital A dx, and that is simply k is Ea by L 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, which is the same as the derived using the direct method. So that's the beauty. Note that equation 16 previous equation and 20th, the strain energy in the element can be written as capital U, which is half of ut ku, that's shown in 21, right? So this is what's the basis for a base a bar element. Let us take this example number 1, where the two bar elements are connected in series, element 1 and 2, and therefore there are 3 nodes, and the node 1 and 3, that is these bar elements are fixed from the at the end sides. So the element 1 has capital length L, and the element 2 also has got length capital L. And let us add the node 2 where these two bar elements are jointed. Let us assume that there is a P force which is acting in the x direction from left to right. So one has to find the stress in the two bar assembly which is loaded with force capital A P, and constant and the two ends as shown here at node 1 and at 3. So this is what's the example of 1D bar element. So for element 1, one can write down the K1 stiffness matrix as 2 Ea by capital L 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. The displacements are U1 and U2. K2 similarly can be written as shown here. Imagine a frictionless pin joint at node 2 now, which connects the two elements. So we can assemble the global Fe equation like here, right? So we would assemble next time and we will see the result in the next lecture. So I hope this is okay. The very we started the concept then the simple example, the spring element, and then we are going towards the bar element. We'll move further in the next lecture, number 36, then if it is. So I am very much thankful to you all for keeping patience. Thank you. I thank you once again for, but please don't forget to communicate your feedback. Thank you very much.